for those joining us, and you're watching the replay right now of the Onward Friday night conference call tonight. And we are talking about changing your mindset. Mindset is huge, not just in business, but mindset is huge for your life. And if I can be real honest, your mindset for business starts with your life. It really does, because before there was a business, there was you. And your mindset starts with your brain and how you're thinking about things. And sometimes we get used to, that old saying, they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Look, I'm here to tell you right now, this old dog right here, who's 51, getting ready to be 52, let me tell you, in the last 11 years, I have learned some new tricks in this business. And I have learned some new tricks in life. And I have tried to put those into play in my life, in my thought pattern, and in my business. And then I try to pass that down to my team and to my adopted team and to all my, peeps and people who follow me on social media. You'll find that most of the time when I start saying something that maybe I've learned that day or that month or maybe that minute, most of the time it's not what I've learned really from somebody else or what I've seen somebody else post. Maybe I've read something and I think, wow, that really hits home with me. And I like to share that, because the worst feeling in the world is feeling like you're alone in some sort of struggle. That something tells you in your mind that you must be the only person going through this, that nobody else could have it as difficult as you have it at this time. And that really is not true. There isn't much that you've gone through that somebody else has not already been through or may be going through at the same time. And I really love the fact that we can have this family atmosphere and we can kind of listen and share with each other and realize that there isn't anything you can't overcome. And you may not always accept something. You may not always be something that you're like, well, you're going to get over something. But you absolutely have the capability to get through something. And that's been the biggest thing for me. Whether it's a personal thing in your life and somebody develops a sickness like cancer, or rather, maybe you've been diagnosed with diabetes, or you've been in a car accident, or maybe you're having issues in your family, and maybe things are it just seems like no matter where you go, there is a bump in the road. I so get that. I mean, I don't know how much stronger I could say. I get it. But what I've seen through my life is I know how I would have dealt with something a month ago, a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And I can tell you that even though I was that person in those 10 years up until now, I can tell you that I can see a difference of how I am handling things. That how because of my thinking, and look, this isn't, oh, Molly's been through it so many times that she just gets it and it's okay now. No, it's not. It's that you really have to look back to how you've handled something. And I had to say to myself, Molly, how was that when you handled that way? How, as Dr. Phil would say, how's that working for you? And I realized that a lot of ways that I have dealt with things in my past have not always been the ideal way. That thing that you do where you stick your head in the sand and you pretend like what's happening isn't happening. Maybe it's in your life. Maybe it's how somebody's treating you, but maybe it's in your business. You see things in the beginning that they're starting to crumble. You see people in your team falling apart. But instead of addressing it or figuring out that you've got to reach out to people and find out where they are, or decide that maybe your sales are going down the tubes, and instead of reaching out to customers, you just sit there and figure, oh, wow, it's a bad campaign, or, you want to wait till you're 3 or 4 title at risk, and then you want to try to save something. Guys, that's not the right mindset to have. You have got to be involved. Get your head out of the sand. Yeah, I know what you thought I was going to say, but I didn't say that. Get your head out of the sand and look at things for how they are. Have a mindset that doesn't say, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I'm here. I can't believe this is going on with me. And why is this happening again? Maybe you need to say, wait a minute, I've been here before. I know this and this didn't work, but you know what? I'm going to try this because I think this is a good way to try to get through this. And if your mindset is number one, you're not trying to pretend like it doesn't exist. You're not trying to say that something hasn't happened. You're not trying to say that, you don't want to deal with it. You're saying, you know what? Head on. Head on. I'm going to face up to this, and I'm going to see what can I do to work this challenge the right way or a better way than I did last time. I've been doing a lot of reading lately, and for me, I love to read, and I absolutely love to read things that can make me a better person. And I want to be a better person for me. I have to be really honest with you. I used to say I wanted to be a better person for my kids, and I wanted to be a better person for my family, and I wanted to be a better person because my mom would be proud if she was here, or if she's looking down from heaven, or I want to be a good example for, the people who are watching me in this business and the representatives who look up to me. And sometimes it's really, really overwhelming. It really is. But then I realize that I need to be a better person because that's who I want to be. That, once your mindset changes and you have the right mindset for the right reasons, everything that needs to come with that, everything on the outside will change along with it. You will see a gradual coming together when you stand up to that person for the first time who consistently puts your business down and consistently tells you what a bad person you are and consistently wants to tell you that you're not worthy. Or maybe they don't say the words, but everything they say and everything that they do makes you feel like you just are a nobody. You're a nobody in life. You're a nobody in your business. You're never going to be anything but a nobody. Now, let me tell you something. My God does not create nobodies. You are somebody. But you have to believe that you are here for a reason. And you have to believe that you have been put in this business in particular for a reason. And nobody ever promised it wasn't going to be difficult. Nobody ever promised that it was going to be smooth sailing and the winds were all going to be in the right direction. But I am here to tell you that when you cross those hurdles, and you might trip on them and you might fall down, but the deal is when you get back up, you see that next one coming, you got to jump a little higher because you don't want to fall down again. Or you can choose to just hit that hurdle the same way and you're going to fall again. It's all in what you choose to do. I was reading somewhere that the mind, the brain, is probably one of the most complex things about human beings. I mean, think about it. What does the brain let you do? The brain enables you, your thinking, how you perceive something, your reasoning, your judgment, just your human consciousness. But what influences our mindset? Culture, environment, maybe religion, family, how you lived your life, how you were raised to live your life, even if it was good or bad in one person's opinion or not. Throughout our lives, we've developed certain ways of thinking. And I got to tell you, coming from this girl right here, my way of thinking has not always been the best. I allowed myself to be in relationships that some of them you couldn't control as a kid, maybe how somebody was as a parent to you, somebody was as a kid, and maybe you didn't stand up for yourself. But those mindsets kind of come with you. And as you grow up, your mindset needs to grow up. You've managed to wrap your mind around all those ideas and just accept that this is the way your brain must work. This is the way your life must go. That you suck, so your business should suck, and your marriage should suck, and you shouldn't lose that weight. You shouldn't put on makeup. You shouldn't dress to be your best. You shouldn't have fun. You should not be able to enjoy life, because you know what? That's just how it's been, so that must be how it's supposed to be. Ha! That's what I have to say to that. Get out of here with that crap. If that's what you choose, that's how it's going to be. Well, Molly, you know, my team's probably not working their business because, you know what, it's not like my business is doing so good. So if my business isn't doing good, why should theirs do good? They're just following the leader. Oh my, listen to that mindset. Have you heard yourself say that to yourself? Maybe one of your Avon friends. Maybe you've said, well, I'm not really a leader. I thought I had this down. Or maybe it's just that you have a bad attitude because you're trying to be more of a boss than you are a leader. Maybe it is that you feel like nobody respects you. But see, you have to respect yourself first before others respect you. See, it all starts in the mirror. It all starts with that brain and what you're thinking. Took me a while to realize that in order to make my dreams happen, chances were I was going to have to change how I thought. You know, Lee kids people all the time when we get to talking, and he will say to them, yeah, you know, Molly, you know, she's never lived more than 25 miles from where she was born. And, you know, before Avon, she really didn't travel a whole lot. You know, she went to local beaches, things like that. And, you know, I would laugh and almost be proud of it at first. Like, yeah, that's right. I have. That's exactly how it's been. And I realized that that was my mindset. I didn't know how to think or dream past what could be out there that's better for me. And it's amazing now. Hey, do you want to learn how to dream? Let me tell you something that's been helping me. You are really, you know, my mindset in things that I think I would like or things that I want. Man, when I started a Pinterest account, and a lot of that was at first just to, you know how I like to cook. You see all my stuff I'm cooking on Facebook. But the point is, I was doing that for recipes and stuff. And then I realized it was so much bigger. It showed different things you could like in your house, from the kitchen to the bedroom. And I'm an avid lover of log cabins. I've just always wanted a log cabin in the last 10 or 15 years. I just think it would be amazing to own one or to have as a second home. And then I started looking, you know, I went to Hawaii because of Avon, and my first really like tropical paradise I had ever been to. And suddenly I was looking at places on Pinterest like Bora Bora and the beaches of Australia. And then I went to Puerto Rico, and then I went to Alaska, and I just thought, wow. And you know what happened? My mindset started changing. That said, wait a minute, why can't you go to those places? You know, you can work hard enough that you don't just have to learn how to earn them, but that I could earn enough money to eventually have the kitchen I want, the vehicles that you want. Maybe there's a charity that you want to give to. Maybe you wish you could give more to your church. Maybe you just want to learn how to give more of yourself. I got to tell you, I'm so excited. You know, Lee and I joined our church about probably a year and a half ago. And we kept saying, or I kept saying to Lee, we really need to get involved. We really need to do something. We really need to be a part of something. We go all the time. We love it. We're not getting to know a lot of people. We need to do this. And you know, when something hit me between the eyes last week or a couple of weeks ago, I can't remember. And anyways, they said they needed helpers. They fixed these awesome cookies, and they serve them before every single service. And they were saying they needed volunteers to, you know, help the cooking and help in the parking lot and this and that. And I said, this is it. This is something that I could do. Why couldn't I? You know, I don't have to be the person who participates in everything. If I want to get in and become involved, my mindset had to stop being, oh, they probably don't need me. And I got to tell you, that's what I was saying. I was saying, no, but they're probably fine. They don't need me. I don't need to be a part of that. And I realized that, wow, I was psyching myself out from doing something that could really be a blessing in my life. You know, it's like when you see that person and they smile at you in the parking lot, and you saw them looking at the signs on your car. And you could just smile back and get in your car. Or you could take those 2 steps and say, you know what? That smile was an opening for me. I think I'm going to walk over and give them a brochure and talk to them a minute and ask them if they have an Avon representative. I'm not telling you need to stand in a parking lot all day long looking for people. Now, if you want to do that, there's nothing wrong with that. I've done it. Many people do it. But do you know the first step of changing your mindset? It's not spending 6 hours in a parking lot. It's making the first step towards that first person, to offer them a brochure, to offer them the opportunity, and know that when you take that first step, that it could end with a no. And it may just be a no thank you, a really nice no. It could be no thank you, but I have an Avon representative already. It could be no, I just don't think direct sales are for me. But the point is, you just proved to yourself that you could change your mindset and you could take the first step forward to the first person. I know we talk about the power of 3 and the power of 10 and talking to as many people as we can. And look, I get it. Sometimes it's not easy. I remember in the beginning for me, it was not easy. But what I learned in the beginning of my business and now when I'm training people who are looking for customers, and I truly feel that they really want to grow their business, is I tell them, take it one person at a time. Or in my case, you know, one of the sayings, it's written on my vehicle, Frankie, and I've had this for years now, but it says, changing lives one brochure at a time. And I feel like for the last 11 years, that's what I've been doing with this Avon thing. I have been changing lives one brochure at a time. It could be a small change, turning somebody on to a home service where I can deliver what they need and they don't have to go out and look, and they're dealing with somebody who wants to be there and service them. Or maybe it's changing a life because they never thought they could be more than they are. They never thought that they could own their own business. But that brochure is what started it for me. I'm such a firm believer in the Avon brochure. I mean, I love the samples and all of that. And I love knowing what skincare can do for you. You need to know your products. You need to learn about that, all of that. But I am such a believer in our brochure because I believe that opens the doors to so many conversations. Your mindset needs to be, if it's too much for you to say the power of 3, the power of 5, the power of 10, maybe your mindset needs to be, today, it's going to be the power of 1. You know, everybody will be talking on the Onward group and they'll be saying, you know what, I do what Molly did and I get 100 brochures and I make sure I get them in the hands of people, or maybe I go out tossing them. And maybe you're that person who says, I know that 100 brochures, the people say it's only $19. But the truth of the matter is, I don't have that yet. I want to. It's on my goal. I want to be able to get 100 brochures every single time extra that I could give to people. But right now, it's not possible, but I want to work towards it. Your mindset needs to be, my goal is 100, but I'm going to start with 30. I'm going to start with 50. I'm going to start with 20. But you've got to start. And you have got to work with more than 10 brochures. You have got to think bigger than where you are right now. It doesn't have to be as big as that person that you're following, but it needs to be bigger than what you're doing right now, because that is a mindset change. A mindset that says, if I want to have more, if I want to be more, then I have got to do more. I have got to change how I think. People will say, you know, I was watching, I think it's Carleen Hampton. I was reading one of her posts this afternoon, and she said something about the fact that 3 of her customers did not have the money for their orders, and she was freaking out at first because she was like, oh my gosh, you know, I got to have this money or else I can't put in my next order. And all of a sudden she looked down at her Onward No Matter What bracelet, and she popped herself in the wrist, and she said, now wait a minute, they don't have the money, I know they will, but what am I going to do about this? Her mindset suddenly took a turn, and she said, I have to have X amount of dollars in order to pay my bill for Avon so that I can move on with my business. And I have this many products here, and I have to get out and I have to move these products and sell these products in order to make this happen. And you know what? She did it. She changed her mindset. She didn't sit there and say, oh my gosh, this business isn't for me. I can't even get customers to pay me on time. This is why this isn't working. It's everybody else's fault. She said, oh no, where there is a will, there is a way. And I am going to pave my way, and I'm going to make this happen. That is a mindset that we should all take away. Look, I keep wanting to go back, and I keep wanting to like that like 50 more times, but Facebook only lets me like it once, but I want to like it more because I was so moved by that example today in the Onward group. Well, let's see, what else can we talk about mindset? We just talked about changing your mindset means that you have to eliminate the thought of this is who I am, and questioning what you always thought was fixed. Okay, what's that mean? You know, you've seen that commercial a long time ago. You've come a long way, baby. You know what? 5 years ago, I remember thinking to myself, I've come a long way. And I have to tell you, I had come a long way. But let me tell you what I am so thrilled about. I am so glad that I did not stop there. I'm glad I didn't say, okay, I've come a long way. I got rid of that ex-husband who didn't think I could be anybody, and I got rid of this, and I changed life, and I got started my own business. So, okay, this is where I am, because now I look at myself 6 more years, and I said, oh, heck no, this ain't enough. If I can change my life to this date, just imagine what I could do in 5 more years. And today I sit here telling you, this chick right here, this Molly STONE-BIBB girl, she has not reached the pinnacle of her success. She is not done. And if you say that you're done and you are doing the best that you can do, and that is all that you got to give, baby, you got to change your mindset, because there is always more that you can do to better you. There is always more. And by the way, when you make a better you, everything else is going to become better. Do you know why? Because you start thinking of it differently. You don't go, oh my gosh, it's raining. I wanted to get out and I wanted to toss those 100 books. I wanted to go door to door. You know what you say? A person whose mindset has changed says, okay, it's raining. I can't toss books today because of that, but let me see. There is 4 office buildings I've been wanting to go in, and I know if I get in the office buildings, then that means that my tail can go to the offices. So let me just take the sunny days, and let me make sure that the sunny days are made for what I want to do outside. But in the meantime, I can take 8 or 9 of these great brochures, and I can go into these offices and I can walk in and go, hey, I'm the local Avon representative and I wanted to drop these brochures off for you with a few samples. Is it okay for me to do that? I don't even ask okay. That's such a lie. I don't know why I said that. Here, I'm dropping them off for you. Is it okay that I check back with you in a day or so to see if I can get you anything from there? Or maybe I say to myself, okay, well, I've been looking at those 25 old leads from that event that I did 6 months ago, and it is time for me. This must be the day I'm supposed to call the old leads. Well, I'm jumping right on it, because you know what? Tomorrow we liable to get sunshine. Hallelujah! Freaking listen to that. You gotta change your mindset. Listen, think about this. Think about the fact, what about somewhere like Florida where they have like rain showers all the time? I mean, when it's hot and humid there, you out laying out in the sun, whether it's humid or not, and all of a sudden, it just comes a rain shower, and you getting ready to pack everything up, and guess what? The rain shower stopped. Think about this. If Millie and Carlos Garcia, if they ever let those rain showers stop them, do you think that they would be senior executives right now? Do you think that she would have $3,000 checks every 2 weeks? Oh, I'm sorry. They don't do bunnies. They do birds. They had 3,000 birds. I'm working on giraffes. So I can't find any pictures. If you don't understand that, look up Carlos Garcia's Facebook page and you will understand about the birds, okay? And I'm not talking about the birds and the bees. But listen. Their mindset has changed. And let me tell you something. I haven't known Millie and Carlos forever in my Avon business. And I know that everybody probably thinks, oh, they've always been the same like this. But I watch them, and I have watched them for quite a few years now. And I have watched Carlos come more and more into this business when he will tell you himself he was not for this at all when Millie decided to do this. And I have watched them decide that they put their plan together. The plan with his job, the plan with her working the business, the plan with them working together, the plan with their Avon Wings doing what they're doing. And I am watching them inspire other people. And you know what? You can sit back and say, well, I wish I had a husband who did. Let me tell you something. Shall I tell you about Vondell McKenzie? Can I tell you about so many people who didn't have that man in their life? You know what? Change your mindset, people. Change your mindset. Know what you want, and you grab that monkey by the tail, you grab that bull by the horns, and you have to take the first step to say, this is it. I am getting this done. And again, if you trip over the hurdle, know you got to jump higher the next time, because that is what this is about. We are about knowing what you want. And by the way, if you don't know what you want, how in the world can you go somewhere? You know, you might as well just get on one of those like tracks that go around and around and around, and you keep walking, and you may log up 3 or 4 miles, but you're not really going anywhere. You're not. You have to know where you're going. You have to set goals for yourself. You cannot let people trip you up. Now, I'm not going to tell you that never happens, because I'm here to tell you, and even in the last month, I've had a lot of people trip me up, whether they wanted to or whether they meant to or not. And I have had to take myself and say, oh, no way, girl. You have come way too far. Nobody ever told you that this Avon journey was going to be easy, and nobody ever promised me a rose garden in life. But I have been through too much to say no more. Let me tell you, sometimes I look back at times that I just gave up on certain things in my life. And I realize that I missed the chance in my life back then to be impactful, to change my mindset so I could have impacted my kids' lives differently. So that maybe I could have made some decisions where my family was concerned, that maybe things would have gone in a more positive direction. But this is what I know. I can't go back and do anything about that. But what I can do is know where I'm going now, and know that if I keep making a step forward, that I will not always get it right. But my mindset tells me if I hit a roadblock, I got to figure out if I'm going right or I'm going left, or I'm picking up that hammer and I'm going to knock the hole in that wall and I'm going to go forward because I know where I want to be. You have got to own this. Don't say that because you've been how you've been for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, that you cannot think differently. If you choose not to, that is on you. But your life is never going to be any better than it is right now at this moment if you do not consistently give yourself a higher goal each time you meet that small goal, that medium goal, maybe even the pinnacle. Look, I'm a senior executive now, and I've got to tell you something. I'm looking at the new leaders and the new titles that we're going to have in Avon, and I got to tell you something. It's not going to be easy for me to hit those new titles. But I got to tell you something. I'm out there looking for teammates who want to do it. And I'm determined I'm going to get there. And if I don't have the right people now, I'm going to find the right people that are going to get Lee and I where we want to be in this business, that are going to give us the life that not only do we deserve, but we're willing to work for and we're willing to go after. And my dream may be different than your dream, but it is my dream all the same. And it is Lee's dream all the same. And it is up to us to consistently be working on having a better mindset that says, you can do this. Quit looking at the rain as something bad and view it as, number one, so many things would die if we didn't have rain. It's watering the earth. And sometimes we know it waters it a little bit too much. But instead of saying, oh, that's it, I'm not doing anything in my business today, I'm not going to do anything to improve my life today, I'm not going to exercise today, whatever it is that you're going to give up because it's raining, maybe you need to say, the road has turned. Now, how am I going to make this work? And how am I going to be productive in my business and in my life? I think one of the biggest blessings in my life now is that I feel like a productive person, that I feel like I am making a difference, that I feel like every time my life grows to a fuller point, that every time somebody says, Molly, thank you, because that's what I needed to hear, or that's what I needed to read, that I realize sharing my journey, good and bad, but how I'm attempting to get through it, I think that's what I was put here for. But God didn't tell me I couldn't make no money while I was doing it, okay? So that's why I got my home-based business with Avon products in direct sales, and that is why I am bringing people into it, because I want to show them how they can do the same thing. And I want to be very honest about it. And I want to tell you that when you want something bad enough, or if it's something that is really great, I don't know anything that's great in life, from a great family life to a great business, to a great job, to maybe having the house that you want, or the boat that you want, or to take the trips that you want. I don't know any of those things that just come easy. I don't know any of those things that there hasn't been any sacrifice for. I don't know any of those things that when you got there, you said, daggone, that was worth it. That is wonderful. Here I am, seeing Lee on that glacier in Alaska, knowing he still had sight left and he could see himself there. Boy, it wasn't easy getting a senior executive and making that happen, but we and our team made it happen, and it felt better than I even imagined that it would feel. You know what? Maybe you feel like you've never kept a job in your life long enough, that something's always got in the way. Maybe you're fearful that you're going to fail. You know, I read somewhere that fear is like a big hiccup, especially when you're choosing to do something you've never done before. And look, that's good. If you've never been an advanced unit leader with Avon before, if you've never been an executive unit leader before, if you've never been a President's Club member before, or Honor Society, or Rose Circle, or any of these things, if you've never been there, don't tell me that, you know, that there is fear because you're fearing that you're going to fail. You're fearing that something's going to get in your way. But look, it's just a big hiccup. It's just because you haven't been there before. It's natural to think that you could maybe fail even before you're trying, but the only way you're ever going to know is to try. The only way you're ever going to be okay with no matter where you get to is to know that you tried, to know that you gave it your all, to know that you never stopped. And even if you didn't get exactly where you wanted to get in the time frame you wanted to get, you know that you didn't give up, because you are never going to accomplish anything big until you get out there and you give it your all. We've got to stop being a hindrance to ourselves. You know, attitude is so important. Mindset starts with your attitude. Remember the rain we talked about? You gotta think of a different way. You can't think, oh, you know, have you ever looked at something and go, well, it figures. Okay, well, it figures. Well, who didn't know that? Look, I even catch myself doing it. You know why I can tell you about it? Because I've done it. I'm still breaking that habit. But it's time to say that what you're saying to yourself internally is that, no, it doesn't figure. You're determined that you're going to make a difference and you're going to have a different outcome. If you want a different outcome, figure out the different outcome that you want and then get out there and make it happen. You can do this. You got to stop saying, man, I can't do that. Instead of saying, oh, man, I don't think I'll ever be an executive. I don't know if I'll ever be. You need to say to yourself, what can I do to make this happen? What can I do to get myself closer there today than I was yesterday? You need to find a way. Don't run away from what looks too big to you. You need to find a way. Change your mindset. Because if you change that, it's going to change the choices you make. Remember, it's raining. Oh, I can't toss the books. I can't do the event. Shucks, I guess I'll sit here and pout. Instead of, must be meant for me to do something else today. Guess we'll do that tomorrow or the next day. What can I do to dig into my business? What can I do to bring my kids into my business to show them what I do? What can I do to show? You ever wonder, ladies and gentlemen, why your significant other doesn't believe in what you're doing? Because they don't see you doing it consistently. Because they walk in and they're like, oh, you're not working your quote unquote business. And you're like, well, no, I had plans to do this, but it started raining, or this happened, or I had a hemorrhoid, or who knows what you're telling them. But the point is, if one time he walked in and you were consistently working on something that he knew you wanted, maybe he'd start figuring out your passion. Maybe he'd start realizing that you are serious. Because if you're sitting there 2 days out of the week, just, you know, not doing nothing, feeling sorry for yourself. I called one person, they hung up on me. I went out, nobody stopped by my table. That lady I tried to hand the book to in the grocery store, she just looked at me funny and acted like I didn't exist. Get over that mindset. If your attitude is where it should be, and your mindset is where it should be, I'm telling you, you're going to look up one day and that mountain that was up there in the clouds that looked like it was so high you were never going to get there. Let me tell you something. Suddenly, you're not even going to know that you're closer to it. You're going to go, wait a minute. I could have sworn that mountain was 10 more miles away, but I swear it only looks 5 miles away now. The mountains are high, people, but the mindset is what's going to help drive you there. partnered with the attitude that you need to have. Figure out what it is that you want in your business. And if you need changes in your life, start putting the first step forward to make that happen. Because I'm telling you, there's no worse feeling than to look at yourself 12 months from now and realize that nothing's moved forward, yet the only person who has to own it is the person looking at you in the mirror. You can blame your team all you want, but when your team was not doing what you thought they should do, what you should have been doing is been out there finding new team members who wanted something more, who were hungry enough that they wanted more money, that they wanted something different in their life, that it was important for them to stay home with their kids. So they were willing to take everything you gave them, everything you offered them, and put it into practice. That is what you should have been doing. Instead, you're trying to drag the people who haven't done anything for the last 6 months because you're like, I don't understand why they're not working their business. I don't understand. You don't have to understand it. If you know you've been the leader that you've been, and this has worked with what you've given other people, and it's working in your business, the deal is you quit looking for new people in your business. You quit offering that opportunity. You got too comfortable and you didn't bother moving that mindset a level higher to make sure that you were reaching out that person that could have been the person who was going to outshine you. And there's nothing better than finding somebody who can outshine you, because you know you got yourself the real deal then. When all their aim is they don't want to be as big as you. They want to be bigger than you. That is what we're looking for in this business. That is what you do not give up on. I get it. I get it. You get tired. Nobody ever said this is going to be a tireless thing. Nobody ever said this is going to be easy. So I'm telling you, this is not going to come overnight. Your mindset is going to have to change a little at a time. It starts not tomorrow morning. It doesn't start an hour from now. It doesn't start after you brush your teeth. It starts now. It starts right now to say, I am going to be different, and because I am going to be different, I am going to think different. I am going to view things different. I am going to figure out not why something happened, but how I can make something happen out of what just happened. When you decide right now that this is going to work, you're going to notice a change. Because it's going to be a change that reflects inside you. You're going to feel it in your bones. You're going to feel it in your brain. Your brain's not going to want to shut off. You're going to say, oh my gosh, I should have listened to Molly before. I'm trying to work with these people who don't want to work. They just want me to do it for them all the time. I need to get out there and find them. Well, duh, that's what we was just talking about. So change it now. Don't wait. Don't wait for lightning to strike. That hurts, okay? We don't want no lightning to strike. This is your lightning, people. This is your wake-up call. Don't wait so many years to do it. Jump on board the Giddy Up and Go wagon, and let's giddy up and go together, okay? So we are going to see you in 2 weeks for the next call. Lord knows what's going to happen then on the next video or the next call. But there is nothing I would rather do every other Friday night than be here, Lee and I, and share great tunes, great music, great jam, and then realizing together what we have to do to move forward, not just in our life, but in our business, in our soul, but first in your mind. Change your mindset. Lee, what do you have for us?